in terms of the response, in terms of better preparedness. And in that light, since the 1990s, we have seen cartography, remote sensing and GIS have been very important and crucial working instruments for data collection, analysis, monitoring, follow-up and for informed decision making. These tools and technologies offered by this geoinformatics field provide a measure, tools to analyze situations and update of those situations, building a baseline, building an evidence database for collective planning, coordinated planning and effective decision making to be integrated into national development programs. I could not agree more than when the head of the Ordnance Survey from Britain, which is a pioneering institute in taking forward the mapping practice or mapping technology in the last 20 years, when she says, using geographical information, we solve local, regional, national and global problems because we are able to measure and monitor the changing world. Geographical information is at the heart of the infrastructure of any country. Now, when we come to the UN, when I say UN, I'm talking from the development perspective. We focus on strategy-oriented analysis of development situation and changes so that we can help the national government in better decision making for their planning purposes. So, for Sudan, when we use those geoinformatics tools and technologies, we are better prepared to analyze the situation and almost a real-time basis and develop strategy based on the evidences collected, which is then utilized by policymakers and decision makers to make effective national programs to uplift the development situation in a country. Now, with that concept, what do we have? What is available within the information management community or practice or process within the UN in Sudan? We look at it from three different ways. What is available in terms of data, what is available in terms of mechanisms, and what is available when we say resources. Data. We always start with baseline. We have the administrative boundary, we have the settlements data, we have the infrastructure data. We have the thematic data according to the sectors: health, education, nutrition, protection, food security, water, sanitation, hygiene, and so on. We have the environmental data, which has already been talked about so much by the previous speakers: agriculture, meteorology, land cover, geology, and soil. And population, which is based on the data from Census 2008, household surveys, vulnerables. All this data are geographically referenced and then obtained through various sources: government counterparts, different line ministries, needs assessments, workshops, and even open data. So this kind of data is available within the UN in Sudan, and we are utilizing it amongst the different agencies through different mechanisms such as working groups and sector working groups. There is a working group called the Information Management Working Group, and then there is the Humanitarian Working Group. Here, which is led by the Office of Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, which collects information or data on different sectors that is agreed at the government level, jointly at the government and the UN level, where they collect data through their sector-based working groups, and then the information management working group, which comes into play in the recovery and development context, actually conceptually should be taken forward where humanitarian context stops, and that's where the UNDP as an agency takes lead after OCHA. But however, the state of affairs in Sudan is that this working group has not been able to actively function as OCHA has been functioning in proactively maintaining the information management, GIS, and utilizing GIS and remote sensing for planning purposes. Let's talk about the IWG a little bit more. As I said, in Sudan context, and also as it was flagged earlier by the speakers, that most of the data, there is the availability of data, but they are available in silos. They are not integrated. So what we are trying to do here is, by the creation of IMWG, we are trying to bring in all together this disaggregated data, aggregate it together, so that it helps us to analyze the situation into one platform, so that all this data is available to the members of the working group and then to other partners, so that it offers a rich data repository with all the data available to UN system in Sudan. It is offered in an interactive and user-friendly GIS platform, so that the data sets can be utilized not only within the UN community, but also the public, the academic, the scientific, and the government counterparts. When it comes to resources, me as a practitioner of GIS in the last 4 years in Sudan, I can identify these are the resources that are available here in Sudan for the use by the UN community. First of all, the UN themselves, and then the government and the academic GIS community. Sorry, it's not mentioned here. So far, all UN agencies have at least one information management and or GIS person. Now, then at the same time, we have linkages with government GIS focal points. What are the tools that are available? We use industry standard license and of course open source tools. And then at the same time, through mechanisms such as the Information Management Working Group, we are able to connect to the global level of the geographic information practitioners, such as the UNGIWIC, which stands for United Nations Geographic Information Working Group, which consists of very experienced geographic practitioners, scientists, who are there determining the standards that are to be used for any kind of GIS analysis. And then we also have the UNISAT, which is the mandated body of the UN to help in analyzing satellite imageries for disaster preparedness and disaster response. And also they are focusing on capacity development on GIS and remote sensing for UN and other international organizations staff members. And then at the same time, the resources that I have identified is the partnership. I think in the discussion in the earlier session was that, okay, there is expertise in the academics, there is expertise within the government, there is expertise within the international community who are working in Sudan, but where is the linkage, where is the coordination? So that's why we need to have a strong partnership between these silos of experts so that we exchange information in a seamless way and help build evidence to have a more informed decision making by the higher level, so that the situation on the ground, the development situation in Sudan is enhanced. Now let's go to the core part of the talk, which is the applications. I segregated the applications